Welcome to the Sales Hunter podcast. My name's Mark Hunter. Hey, how many times have you been asked to discount your price? How many times have you said, I buy from you, but I need you to cut your price? That's the topic. That's what we're talking about. Today's episode of the Sales Hunter podcast.
You're listening to the Sales Hunter podcast with Mark Hunter, where the focus is to help you as a sales leader sell with confidence and integrity. And now here's your host.
Hey, pleased to say that the podcast is brought to you by Fist Bump, a unique way to help develop your social media presence if you're a C-suite leader or a C-suite member or a sales leader, senior officer of a company. Hey, I'll give you the offer, give you the details at the end of the show. Let's talk right now about how to sell without having to discount your price. Hey, here's the whole deal. First of all, anytime the customer says, hey, would you reduce your price? Of course you don't, but here's what happens. What happens is we wind up thinking we need to cut the price. Let's back up the bus. Let's take this from the top. First of all, you never give a price out until you first know what they want. Exactly. I don't care if they say, hey, just give me a price quote. No. You never state a price until you first know what it is that they're looking for. And the key is to understand what's the solution they have. But now you got to link it to something else, because here's the whole thing. Just because they have a need for something, that doesn't mean it's important for them to buy, because here's what it comes down to. It's got to link to something important. It has to link. If what they have is, or what you have is something they want, that's great. That's fine. But it's not going to generate a purchase at full price. You see, what I want to do is I want to tie it to something of critical importance. I've talked about this before, but customers are only focused on their number one or number two priorities. And if it's not number one or number two, they're not dealing with it. I've got to zero in on that. I've got to find out. And the more urgent I can make it, this is the key. The questions I'm asking is, hey, how does this fit into your bigger picture? What happens if you don't get this taken care of in the next several months? What other ideas have you tried to solve this problem? Who else have you looked at? I'm asking them all kinds of questions. I want to understand where they are in terms of process. Now, here's what's key. I want to do this early on. I'm all about prospecting, and the value of prospecting is that the prospecting phase is when we can generate so much valuable information that's going to help us close faster. It's also going to allow us to do something absolutely critical, and that is develop a relationship and develop trust. Here's the situation. In the absence of trust, price is everything. The only exception to that is if you have something that is life-saving to them. That's it. In the absence of trust, price is everything. So what does this mean? I've got to establish trust, but I don't establish trust at the end of the equation. I don't establish trust when I'm asking for the order, even when I'm putting the price on the table. No, I have to establish trust beforehand. And I do that by asking questions, engaging with them, and listening. You see, what does it come down to? It comes down to a simple thing. And I love this analogy. People don't want to buy a shovel. Nobody wants to buy a shovel. What they want is they want the hole that the shovel will dig. We as salespeople, we tend to focus on the product, the shovel. We talk about all the attributes of the shovel. That's not what the customer's looking for. They're looking for the hole. You see, by nature, we gravitate towards the product. And this is why discounting is so prevalent in what it is that we do in terms of sales. I don't even want the product to enter into the equation. I don't. Because it's a solution. That's what the customer is looking for. You see, what it comes down to is when I understand the problem that you're dealing with, and I've been able to understand where it fits into your priority list, and I've gotten a sense of urgency. In other words, I've been able to help you see that there's a sense of urgency of getting it done right, then guess what? I'm able to put the offer on the table. But now here's the situation. What happens if the customer rejects it? You have to be prepared to walk away. You have to be prepared. Because if you're not willing to walk away, you're going to stay in the fight and you're going to wind up cutting your price. I have found that when I present my offer by wrapping the solution, the need, the outcome that the customer is looking for around the price and put it on the table, I can walk away with confidence, because if the customer doesn't want it, doesn't like it, it's fine. Do you know what I found? When I walk away, it's amazing how many times they're going to come back later and say they do want it and they're willing to pay. You see, every time I offer a discount, I change the value perception in my customer's mind, and I change my long-term value perception. Because if I start giving a discount, guess what? Next customer comes along, I'm going to be probably likely to give them a discount. Third customer, another discount. And before you know it, I'm giving discounts to everyone. Discounting is a disease. The customer lives, I die. It's very simple. The customer lives because they get a better deal. They get a cheaper price, but they don't understand the value proposition, because now they're buying off price. They're not respecting my trust that I've created with them. I die because now I'm giving up profit. Because, oh, by the way, when I reduce the price, chances are I haven't taken anything out. Oh, so one final piece. What can you do? What could you do? You could take something out of the price. You could take something out of the offer. This is why I say whenever I put a price on the table, I always have a couple of variables in there. I always have a couple of additional items in there. Why? Because if it becomes obvious I can't get the deal closed, I can take those items out and reduce the price. But if you ever reduce the price without taking something off the table, you have just sold your soul to the customer. Hey, what you've been listening to is the Sales Hunter Podcast. I want to tell you about fist bumps. Hey, if you're struggling to get your customers excited about talking with you or your sales team, I've got a resource for you. Our friends at Fist Bump help companies increase pipeline and support their prospecting activities with a proven personal brand program for C-suite and sales leaders. Hey, go to getfistbumps.com/the Sales Hunter and set up a time to talk with my friend Brandon or any one of his team members. And they're going to show you how it works. Hey, when you mention me, you're going to get a free month's service. They're outstanding service. I've seen them turn businesses around in creating relationships. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, 2 episodes a week. One a short one like this. Second one, longer, with a deep dive subject matter expert. Why do we do the show? It's to help you see and achieve what you didn't think was possible. Great selling.